Hey, welcome. So, today we're not just going to talk about marketing, we're going to build it. Seriously, think of it like a skyscraper. We're going to construct the entire architecture of modern marketing, starting right from the foundation, what's inside the human mind, and building all the way up to a massive global operation. Let's get into it. It really all kicks off with a simple question. Just think about that cup of coffee you might be drinking right now. It didn't just magically appear, right? It's actually the final stop on this incredible globe-spanning journey. And the map for that entire journey, well, that's marketing. So in this explainer, we're going to follow that map from the very beginning to the very end. You know, every great structure has to start with a rock-solid foundation. And in the world of marketing, that foundation is and will always be the customer. Before you can build anything else, a brand, a product, anything, you have to understand what's going on right here, inside our heads. Now, this definition goes way beyond just the moment you tap your card to pay. It's a whole psychological cycle. Why did you even think about wanting coffee in the first place? What made you pick a certain brand over another? And how do you feel after you've had it? Companies spend billions, and I mean billions, trying to answer these questions, because the answers are the key to absolutely everything else. Okay, this is super important to get. Not all buying is the same, not even close. Think about it. On one side, you've got you buying a single cup of coffee. It's probably an emotional, personal decision, right? I need a boost, or I deserve a treat. But on the other side, you've got the coffee shop's owner buying tons of coffee beans. That's a logical, committee-driven decision based on spreadsheets, price, and quality. These are two completely different marketing universes. So, because those two buying worlds are so different, smart companies know that a single purchase isn't really the goal. The real goal is to build a bridge between their world and yours. They're trying to create a genuine relationship, turning a one-time transaction into a daily habit, and hopefully a lifelong connection. So, if the goal is a relationship, how on earth do you build one? Well, that brings us to the next floor of our skyscraper. Once you understand the customer, you have to give them something to actually connect with. You need an identity. You need a brand. Have you ever wondered why you might pay $3 for one coffee but think $5 is totally fair for another, even if they taste almost identical? That $2 difference, that is brand equity. It's the trust, the reputation, the feeling you get just from the name alone. It's this invisible asset that can be worth more than all of a company's factories and stores put together. And this kind of power doesn't just happen by accident. It's a very deliberate four-step climb. First, you've got to establish who you are. Then you create meaning. What do you stand for? Next, you work to get positive thoughts and feelings from people. And finally, you forge that deep, loyal relationship that we were just talking about. This quote just perfectly nails the whole idea. A brand isn't really a logo, it's a promise. It's a promise of a certain quality, a certain experience, a certain feeling. And every single time a company delivers on that promise, the brand gets a little bit stronger. Because in marketing, trust is the ultimate currency. And once you've built up all that trust, you can leverage it. This is what's known as a brand extension. I mean, if a coffee shop you absolutely love starts selling their own coffee beans or mugs or even pastries, you're much more likely to try them out, right? That's the power of a promise that's been kept over and over again. Okay, so we've got the customer's mind and a really powerful brand promise. But how do you actually deliver on that promise millions of times a day all over the world? For that, you need an engine. This is the operational core of marketing. You know, people throw these terms around all the time, but they're actually worlds apart. Logistics is just one piece of the puzzle. It's the trucks, the planes, the warehouses. But the supply chain? Whoa, that's the entire sprawling network. It's the farmers growing the beans, the ships crossing the ocean, the roasters, the packagers. It's the whole grand design. Visually, this journey looks pretty simple. You source the beans from a farm, maybe somewhere in Colombia. They get roasted and packaged, stored, shipped, and finally delivered. But just imagine the insane level of coordination required. A delay at any one of these steps can break the entire chain and shatter that brand promise we worked so hard to build. And that final delivery step, it's a strategic battlefield. Where do you actually meet the customer? Is it in a regular supermarket, a fancy specialty shop, or do you just skip the middleman entirely and sell directly from your own website? Every single choice here changes the customer experience and the brand's bottom line. It's one of the most critical decisions a company can make. And in this massive, complex, global engine, you can never, ever underestimate the human element. Remember that industrial buyer from earlier? For that kind of huge sale, all the branding in the world might just come down to one skilled salesperson building a real personal connection. They are often the final and most important piece of the whole marketing puzzle. All right, let's zoom out to the final layer of our architecture. We've built the core, the identity, and the engine. Now let's place our whole structure into the context of the wider world, which, as we all know, is changing at lightning speed. So what does the future of this architecture even look like? Well, no surprise, digital is the biggest piece of the pie. But look at the other trends here. They're just as important. Notice how they're kind of pulling in different directions. You have direct marketing trying to get more personal, while green marketing is answering this huge call for corporate responsibility. The real challenge for modern brands is mastering all of these at once. And remember, marketing isn't just for physical stuff you can hold in your hand. How do you market a haircut, or a streaming subscription, or the experience of just sitting in a really nice coffee shop? That's service marketing. You're selling an invisible promise, so things like quality and consistency become absolutely everything. And when a brand finally decides to go global, it faces this really clear trade-off between risk and control. They could just export their products, that's low risk, but they lose control over how the brand is presented. Or they could license their brand to a local partner for a little more control. Or they can go all in with direct investment, which is super high risk but gives them total control and, of course, the highest potential reward. And there it is, the complete architecture. We started with a single, simple need in one person's mind, and we built our way all the way up through branding, logistics, and global strategy to a massive, interconnected network that literally spans the entire planet. See? It all connects. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. As technology and AI get more and more powerful, they can help us understand customers on a deeply personal level. But does that ultimately make marketing more human and empathetic? Or does it risk becoming, well, less so? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.